All right, welcome to another interview today on Bend in the River podcast with Mike Ackerman. I'm Corey Schrader, and right now we have mayoral candidate Judith Lee. Um, she's been gracious enough to sit down with us and answer a few questions and just have a little conversation about things and this upcoming election. And Judith, welcome, and we
Thank you.
appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you're
All
doing this. This is
right.
great.
I think so too. It's something that we've always wanted to do, and we were talking earlier. We've both been around Davenport for years, and you know we like to talk, so this works
If you
out.
don't like to talk, don't do a podcast.
Right, exactly. I think that's good advice right there. Well, we know your time is valuable, so we'll just kind of dive right in, and we just have a few questions here for you, but
Mhm.
um, and I want to keep it simple.
Okay.
But one of the things, just kind of going through the your plans and what you're looking for, with for the city and for its citizens is uh, safe, affordable housing for its citizens, and tying that with fiscal responsibility, responsible spending. It's a tough thing to balance, and
Absolutely is.
but there's
Mhm.
also a lot of wasteful spending in all governments.
Yes.
Local to national. So, what kind of ideas do you have to get that safe, affordable housing out there to the citizens and get spending under control and be responsible with it?
Corey, let's start with a universal, huge question
I know it. I know it. It's broad and
that
it's
involves
tough.
so many different things.
Exactly. I know it involves a
Remember when he said
lot,
keep it
but
simple?
what's kind of like
That
right?
was-
I know. What happened to
What's the basic view on that? Like, how do we? Where would we start? Where
that?
would be
Okay.
your starting point?
Corey and Mike, let's just talk about the housing first, okay? As you know, we are short thousands of housing units. And the way I look at it is every unit we have is precious because we can't add if we keep subtracting. So every time a landlord doesn't keep his asset up, okay, in keeping safe and affordable housing, then we're losing. And many people cannot afford to just get up and look for another one because there aren't other ones at their price range to find. They also have to very often pay a fee just to be able to apply for a unit. And a lot of people don't have enough money to do multiple fees that they will never get back. Okay, that's just money gone, and they may not get the unit. So, first of all, I feel it is critical that the city start doing stringent and consistent inspections. I've been involved with the city now deeply for over 6 years, the current 6 years, not 8 years and 15 years ago, now, with the situation now. And we have failed as a city to do our inspections and do them right. And most important, to enforce them. And I've seen that there has been inconsistent enforcement as well. Some get away with things. And we've seen what can happen with that. At the worst case, we've seen what can happen with that. We have got to do our enforcement to make sure that what we have is kept up and the people are living in safe housing without mold, where the heater works, where the air conditioner isn't forcing out mold into the apartment, where the plumbing works. And that has not been happening. I've been working with the Quad City Alliance, Tenant Alliance, and going to many of their meetings and when they go on site. And the property management in many of these buildings is either horrendous or non-existent. For example, there's a huge place downtown, the high rise, where the person goes in, refuses to answer the phone, refuses to answer the door, and then goes home. And they had no hot water for weeks. For weeks. And the city did nothing about that. So, first of all, we have to keep what we have, and we have to make sure that it's kept up, that the maintenance is done. We very often have developers come in and they make nice places, then they move on, and then the management that they hire isn't working. It's not working. And what I'm seeing down on the West End, south of Locust, is that a lot of these rentals are not being kept up at all. I don't know how people are living in those buildings. So we can say we're going to create more affordable housing. But if we're not keeping up what we've got, and even if we create them, if they're not being kept up after the developer moves on, they don't hire good managers, then those start going down very quickly as well.
Yeah.
So this is a multi-pronged thing. It doesn't cost more for the city to actually do its job. Okay? We've got inspectors. We've got enforcers. We've got an entire legal department. What are they doing? I worked on a situation. I was asked as a private citizen to help out a family where the neighbor has put a giant cooler against his house. And I've been working since June to try to get that cooler moved back onto the owner's property.
You mean
June!
like a beer cooler?
The thing is not physically attached to anything. It just has to either be picked up and moved or picked up and removed. Okay? June, July, August, September, October. For a physical thing. I've been told that thing has been a problem in 4 different ways, and every time it's a different way, it goes to a different human in the city. And then it's ultimately supposedly in the legal department now. I drove by the other day, it's still there. Okay, so if we can't get something simple like that, then how are we going to get something more complex on keeping these rental units in good shape? Now, I will admit that sometimes the tenants are the problem. I have reviewed Iowa City's code for all of this. And the Davenport has accepted a small part of that code, which is called the abatement process, okay? Where if the landlord does not fix things, the tenant can go to the city and say, please abate my rent until we can get this fixed. For Iowa City, that's the very last step. There's all sorts of working together that the city of Iowa City does with the tenants and with the landlords to try to get things fixed. And only if the landlord completely fails does abatement step in. So, and they've used it very seldom because this mediation process tends to work pretty well. But we don't have that mediation process except from what I see, this outside nonprofit called the Quad City Tenant Alliance, where they step in and try to mediate between the tenant and the landlord. And they have been successful. And they've also been in rentals that have multiple units, especially a large number of units, such as Marycrest. They have been able to get the tenants themselves to organize to try to make this work. So that's a very effective thing, but we're talking about a couple of people as a nonprofit working on this. And we have thousands of units that are not up to par in this city. And all you have to do is drive around and look, and you can see that from the outside.
Yeah.
What does it look like from the inside?
Probably not better.
So that is not something that costs
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we just need to start doing our job as a city. And it has been, it's been very difficult. There's things I started when I was on council that still are not done. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost
And I
like
have
just
been abused by people that the city, that I originally called in, and that the city has taken forever to deal with and let them get away with things. There's a key thing called, it's grandfathered in. And they decide when grandfathering starts.
Sure.
Okay? So that means that landlords can get away with things because it's grandfathered in. No, that should not be if it has to do with safe and
Absolutely.
affordable housing. Okay? So that doesn't cost any more. Maybe we do need some more inspectors. That I don't know. But we need to have management supporting the inspectors we have and taking action when it needs to be taken. And that, I will tell you, is not happening at this point. Okay? So then you've also got the situation. So I'm saying that this doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
right.
We just need to be doing the job. So
Clean
I'm
house.
trying to track a
Clean
little
our
bit.
house first, right? And
Yeah.
make sure everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, makes sense. Yeah.
And driving around, there's okay. So then there's the other thing, where we have units, or we have a developer that comes in and says, "We're gonna do affordable housing." They buy this land, and then nothing happens. We see beautiful pictures. I was vice chair of economic development, so I saw a lot of pretty pictures where developers come in and say, "This is our design. We're going to do it here." And I will tell you, most of it does not happen. And then the for sale sign goes up on the land.
Yeah.
So
they're just
Well,
using
we
it
are-
to flip a buck,
yeah,
Yeah.
well, they get grants, they get
free money.
incentives, then they go away,
Yeah.
and we don't get our incentives back.
Yeah.
The taxes they should have been paying, if they had not been given a tax break, we should get those
Right.
taxes back when they don't do what they say they're going to do.
It's like a company
Yeah.
getting a tax break saying they're going to hire 1,000 employees and only hire 200.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
just carry on, or they go away, one or the other. They don't have skin in the game at the beginning because of all these incentives that
Yeah.
they get. And then if something doesn't go quite right, that's what happened with the Hiller property down at the bottom of Gain Street. That beautiful old building that we had alder people saying, "It's got good bones. It's great." I mean, that's a quote, okay? Not
Right.
from me, but from two other alder people. And then when he goes in, he lets it sit there for a while more. And when you do deferred maintenance, what happens? It goes down. And then he found something that somebody else did that was going to cost $200,000 to fix. So then he comes to the city, and the city looks at it and says, "Oh, this thing's going to fall down right now. It's a public hazard. It has to be demolished." So then he says, "I don't have $200,000 to demolish it." So guess who paid for the
Right.
demolition?
Yep.
You and me. And then the city attorney says, or the city administrator says, "And it's going to cost us money to get that money back because we have to take
Right.
legal action." And we had just paid the same developer another $250,000 to demolish his building across the street, which was a bunch of rental units that we then lost. So now we've got, 20, 30 rental units that are gone, because I know there was 10 in the one, and the other building had more rental units. I don't know how many. And now we're into that guy for $450,000. Okay? You want to save some money? Make
Right.
them do it.
Yeah.
If somebody's developing, we ought to say, you have to start by this date. You have to have it done by this date, considering contingencies. And if you don't, there's going to be some kind of repercussions. You're not allowed to spend a lot of time, a lot of our time, a lot of our money as a city, and then put up the for sale sign and go away.
Yeah.
Why do you think the old Y isn't being developed? They want their demolition money back when they're trying to sell it. I looked into it because a friend of mine was interested in looking at that, so I looked it up. It's worth they're charging way more than the assessed value because they want their demo money back.
Wow.
That's happened up where the old Davenport is on 53rd, that old hotel. Wants his demo money back. So either they demo it and want their money back, or the city demos it and puts a lien on it. So either way, these places that could be used for housing
Can't be used.
are not, they're not being used because they're not cost effective because of the demo cost, one way or the other. So it's a complicated situation. And Corey, you're right with your question, and that money comes into this, being more cost effective. But we, I believe, as a city, and having been for 4 years vice chair of economic development, as an alderperson, I've seen these great ideas come in and then not happen. Okay, take a look at the Hostess building. You know that one, right?
Geez, that picture's fading on that building.
Luxury apartment.
Yeah,
The
right.
Continental. And nothing has happened except graffiti and broken windows
Yeah.
and deferred maintenance. And I've heard it's full of mold and that they want
wow.
to tear it down. So there's another one that we're looking at. So it's more complicated than just getting developers to come in here and do it, and you give them incentives. It's not, the process we have now is not working. That's why I believe we have to do better on keeping what we have and keeping it in livable shape. Because a lot of this is just subhuman, what we're making people live in. 'Cause they
Yeah,
can't
and
go
it sounds
anywhere else.
like just more of a backbone from the city with these developers. Be a little bit more, this is what okay, you want this. This is what you have to do. If you don't do it, then,
Yeah.
There's repercussions.
right.
And then we have to follow through
Yeah,
on the
right.
repercussions.
Right. Right.
I mean, there's
So,
been nothing. I think Andrew Old got charged $300
see,
for
and that's
324
I know you got a
coming down.
question on that.
yeah, and that's the other thing about that. Like, so with that collapse and the whole issue with him and all of that, you read that these inspections passed, like a month prior. How do we sit there and go, okay, if this building's getting a pass, I'm assuming we're all just kind of sitting there going, okay, well, I trust that it passed, but then of course this catastrophic thing happened. How do we make sure that this is a true
like, this is a loaded
pass?
question.
Like, I mean,
Let me go back. Okay. There were 74 open violations in that building when it came down. There were 2 notices to evacuate that the residents never got.
So who's responsible for
Okay.
getting that to the residents?
Apparently
Well,
nobody.
That seems like a hole. That seems like a hole in the process.
right.
The point is they're supposed to, the city and or the landlord is supposed to be working together to get people out of there. Because it's interesting. The Schwicker building downtown that now has that fence around it?
Yeah.
Those people were given 20 minutes. They were told there's a bus showing up. 20 minutes to get out of that building because it's going to fall down. The bus shows up. Who has time in 20 minutes to grab anything other than your your important papers, your purse, your wallet, your dog, you know. The bus shows up. This is Easter weekend. Brings them up to those hotels up by Menards, drops them off, and says, we'll pay for this until Tuesday morning. So you got Saturday, Sunday, Monday of Easter weekend. Who's even
Right.
answering the phone? If you're trying to find another place to
3
live.
days is what they gave him? 2 days?
Yeah, of Easter weekend. The only reason why they were taking care of somebody, and I don't know who, an anonymous donor, came up with $10,000
wow.
to help those
Relocate.
people. Yes, stay and find a place to live.
So
and
were they allowed
relocate.
back in to get their stuff?
Somebody. We would, Bob and I went down and talked to some folks that were standing outside the Schwicker that had been kicked out. And they were allowed later to get some of their stuff because they had to find somebody to even help
Sure.
them carry it, you know, and have a vehicle to put their stuff in. So they were allowed to go in. But do you know what's happening down there now? That building that was supposed to come down in 20 minutes?
What's that? No.
Do you know? They're rehabbing it.
Yeah.
So
See, I had a-
everybody got kicked out
Yeah.
because it's going to fall down. It's a good way to empty a building so you can
Yeah, then
rehab
up
it,
the
right?
price. It would be my guess on the next person who moves in.
Which is the other balancing act that you brought up, that balance. So we get apartments fixed, and you're right. What are the chances that the price is going to stay the same?
Very little. Very little. I would say the chances are less than zero.
Yeah, less than zero.
Yeah, I always thought it was odd because I had heard that they had to evacuate because that building was going to fall down. But 4th Street was still open and there was only a chain link fence around the sidewalk. And
There
I'm
wasn't
thinking,
even a chain link fence for a long time.
yeah, and I'm like, if this thing's going to fall, I mean, wouldn't you want to close the street? You got the courthouse
There were still
there.
fire department vehicles parked, you know, because that's next door to the fire
Yeah.
station. They were still parked against the building.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like, okay, something is going on here that,
Yes.
you know,
And now we know what it is.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem. And
And those people we have a diaspora of people that are evacuated from unlivable buildings. Some of them, I believe, are on the street. They didn't have the money for the application fee. They didn't have the money for the down payment. You know, the first and
Yeah.
last rent, security deposit, and these people are not getting their security deposits back. No. So it's because of these things that I know about, and I know about now, that I decided I couldn't teach what I know of 6 years of experience to somebody else, which is why I decided I would run and try to fix some of these things because I don't have to learn them. I already know them. And I also, I'm well known in the housing advocacy, in the homeless advocacy on both sides of the river. I've been paying attention for years. I've been attending their meetings, even as a citizen, because I wanted to stay up on it. I'm well known in all those communities, and I've been active and helping in all those communities because our housing problem is a homeless problem. And homeless people do not just disappear. Okay? They are human beings, some of whom have problems. And I will tell you, if you are homeless, you are bored.
Yeah.
yeah.
There is nothing to do except walk around and sleep.
Yeah.
And there's going to be self-medication going on, even
Well,
if you didn't have problems before. And
yeah,
it's also dangerous.
and that's the thing. I've noticed an
Oh, for
uptick.
sure.
You know,
Yeah.
driving into town, going to the Y, you go. I'm going down Third Street, and you see it in front of the library. When you would ride the bike pass, you'd see them under the government bridge, and it's a real issue.
I'll tell you a
And
source of a bunch of them. Do you know Veterans
Yep.
Memorial Park?
yeah,
Well, there's like a total of 43 acres back there, okay? And it was forested. And there were people living there, living along the tracks and living downriver from the tracks. There were a lot of people
Oh, wow.
there. And they were getting services because people knew where they
Oh,
were.
really?
Yes, and there were paths. They knew when to come out. They knew when people were going to be there to help them. I would be down there and watch. I mean, I don't sit in my house. I'm around town,
sure.
okay? Which I can't say for some of the people who work for the city. So, as much as I
Sure.
like them, they need to get out of the office more.
Right.
So, I went down there. I spent a lot of time at Vets Memorial Park. I had some concerns down there. And I went down there one day, and that whole area had been bulldozed. Bulldozed. And I asked one of the workers why, and they said, oh, had to get rid of the homeless. So they were down there cutting trees, and they bulldozed like 40
Wow.
acres
Get
to get rid of the homeless. So where did they go? Why was there suddenly an uptick?
Yeah.
There
I
it is.
called. I have the personal cell phone of the guy who's been working on the streets with the homeless for as long as I have been downtown Davenport. Okay, a long time. He now works for Humility of Mary because of the work he was doing before. He's really good. I called him and said, "Did you know they've done this?" And he went, "No, I did not know." So they didn't contact anybody because this person would have been the first that you would call. They didn't contact anybody. They just sent the bulldozers in. And if somebody had a tent, if somebody had a sleeping bag, somebody had, some things, they were gone.
Well, I'm going to take us.
So it was almost just like figure it
Yeah.
out. Like we're just going to
Oh,
go in
yeah.
there, we're going to tear it down, and instead of saying, "Hey, what can we do to help this population?" it was tear it down, and then we'll just kind of figure it out. And then now they're scattered all over.
Well, what the city's unstated but stated, they actually say this, not publicly, is they're not our problem. They're coming in on buses. Excuse me. But I asked this person, another person who's on the board of Humility of Mary, I said, where are these people coming from? And he says, the best we can tell checking zip codes,
Yeah.
they're local.
I've never seen a bus of
They're
homeless people
not
come
coming in on buses. And so they say, well, Rock Island will take care of it because Project Now, and some other places over there are pretty active.
Yeah.
We are not. What happened with Rock Island is City of Davenport said, no money for a shelter. There were some really cold
Sure.
times last winter.
Yeah.
No money for a shelter. We're not contributing. Project Now stepped up over on the other side of the river and did an emergency shelter with like almost no time to plan and set it up. So there were a lot of homeless people because there was nothing over here. A lot of homeless people suddenly showed up over there. And then the businesses went, oh my God. And because it's a low barrier, you have to be pretty bad not to be able to get in, is what low barrier means.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to be really disruptive not to be able to get in. There were problems for the businesses, and the business says, get rid of these people. That's why we have to work together as a Quad Cities. This is not a Davenport problem we can shove on Rock Island. This is not a Rock Island problem they can shove on Davenport. And I mean, there's homeless people, and it's going to get worse. You can bet it's going to get worse. And SNAP is done
Yeah.
in a week,
Yeah.
and there's money to do it, but there's not any, but they're
Right.
not going to do it. We're going to have people that I guess my point is we have got to work together as the Quad Cities, which is why I've been attending these various nonprofits to find out where we are and what we're doing. There's a group called the Housing Cluster. I suppose you ought to get a word in edgewise, but
You're fine.
You're
It's the whole
fine.
point of it.
You're
there's a
good.
there's a group called the Housing Cluster where all these nonprofits work together to rehab and create housing, affordable housing. And that way they can also go after grants together because not every group does the same thing or does the entire thing,
Yeah.
if you know what I'm saying, start to
Sure.
finish. So this way they can collaborate to get things done. It's everything from Planned Parenthood to Humility of Mary to ecumenical housing to, I mean, there's probably 30 members in the housing cluster working together, trying to make sense and get something done with this housing situation.
I'm going to take us a little bit of a different direction here. Um, so,
Okay.
when we've talked to many people about this. Corey and I grew up in Davenport. We've been here our whole lives, and many times Corey and I have sat down and solved the world problems one at a time. And one of the things that always gets us is going back to the Mark. The Mark goes to Moline. There was supposed to be a NASCAR track out on Locust Street that fell through and ends up in Newton. The TBK Center ends up in Bettendorf when it was going to be out by the
It was
casino.
supposed to come here.
It seems like we have lost. It looks like we're running on a losing streak here of bringing some of these things in. And why is that happening? One, and two, how do we fix it? What can we do, or what can you do as mayor to fix that and make Davenport a premier destination for some of these things?
One of the things that I have watched over the last 6 years of intense involvement with the city, both as an alderperson and as a member of the public, showing up to all the meetings, reading the agendas, asking questions, is we tend, in my opinion, we tend to chase after bling, okay, without doing really good planning. And I've been a planner for 40 years across the country with my business, from the Washington office level all the way down to local, okay? And I facilitate teams of planners for very complex conundrums, okay? Okay, so I've been doing this for a very long time. And I don't see that we're doing this interactive planning where the hard questions are asked up front before we start putting money into things. Or saying, here's a developer, you do it. And then the for sale sign goes up. For example, you brought up the casino. Okay, we took it off the riverfront. All right, whatever. But if you expect a casino to facilitate the same level of growth that TBK did, it's not going to happen, because a casino is fully intended to be a self-enclosed system. You walk in the door, you've got entertainment, you've got food, you've got sleep, you've got music, and you don't leave until you go home. TBK was a sports complex. You go to the game, but then you have to find a place to sleep, you have to find food, you find entertainment after the game, you go out. Unlike a casino. So it encouraged all these different developments plus housing. Not affordable housing, but housing. Okay, so that was a system intended for growth.
Yeah.
Right? That was intended. We paid $1 million to grade the casino site, plus We built them a public road.
Yep.
And we get some taxes. We get some money. They pay into a fund like they used to before. They still do. But what do we get from that other than
Well,
that?
me and Corey were talking about last night. Clearly, the intention was there was going to be a lot of development, and you just called it out as the reasons why there's not going to be. I think I did a measurement last night. There's not anything. I think there's a car wash or something. It's 1,000 feet away. It's another car wash. That's our road to
Car
go.
wash.
Car washes.
Why do you
Car
think
washes and coffee houses.
the car wash has what looks like an apartment above
Yeah,
it?
exactly. And so there's
Okay?
there's all that property out there, and there's nothing.
Well, the intent was that North Elmore corridor was intended to be this really cool development place. And what came in was a car wash. And they forced the car wash owner to put something on the top to make it look like something other than a car wash.
Is that what happened? Wow.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Because I was vice chair of economic development.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes, that's why it's built that way. And then what does a car wash bring in?
I don't know.
Yeah.
For, associated
Yeah,
development.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Right. And that's been the kind of the running joke for Davenport is like you'll see, on social media that, Moline's repurposing this and building a big courtyard of entertainment and music and restaurants. And then it's like Rock Island's redoing the district. And then it's like, well, Davenport's getting a quick star and 2 more car washes,
Okay, you look downtown. You know where Quinlan Court is?
I don't.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay, so it's across from the DoubleTree.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, across the road
Yeah.
from the DoubleTree, right? And it was meant to be an entertainment venue and food trucks. It's not near anything. Matter of fact, the DoubleTree is on the other side of a wall, so you're not going to walk across the street. It cost twice as much as they estimated, literally, twice as much. And when they lost Steve Aarons, what do you see happening in that site?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
Literally, I watched St. Ambrose. Somebody at St. Ambrose did a cornhole competition, throwing the bean bags. It's the only thing I've seen down there
Yeah.
in like a year or so. We're not using it. And then it did have at least some view of the river, but now they're building the Main Street landing, which is completely cut off the view of the river. And because the railroad tracks are there, you can't get to Quinlan Court from Main Street Landing without walking to either end of that entire development to get around. So it's not like they made it into a system, for entertainment.
Yeah, that's. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So we're chasing bling without thinking it through.
Yep.
My concern with Main Street Landing is not the park. Although I have some concerns.
I would say Corey and
As a
I probably
plan.
have concerns too.
Okay.
Yes.
But I kept asking when I was on council, how much is it going to cost to keep this thing with water features and volleyball and sledding and ice skating, and what's it going to cost to keep it going?
Because is it bringing any money in? Do they charge? Is there
No.
anything that's going to
It's
bring
going
money to it?
cost, It's going to cost, I will tell you, $220,000 a year in personnel, permanent and part-time, and maintenance to keep that thing going. And that's when it doesn't flood. Now, the site itself is raised up. I mean, you can see that. But and I looked at the flood maps, both ends of that access that they're making are going to be in the water. So it's not going to be in the water necessarily, but you can't get to it.
There's going to be times
during
where
flooding.
it's just going to be non-existent for people to use.
It's just worthless. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the types of things. When I was on council, another alderman and I said, okay, what it's going to be expensive to operate and maintain. Do not take it out of Parks and Rec. Okay? Because they already don't have enough money for what they're doing. Parks and Recs is running on bare bones, and you can tell. Okay? We said set up a foundation, set up a something where we take some money we've got, put it in an account for operations and maintenance that makes interest. Okay? But don't take it out of Parks and Recs. Guess where it's coming from?
Not Parks and Rec.
They said, don't worry, we'll
not
take
Parks
care
and
of that. It's coming
Seems
out of
about
Parks
right.
and Rec.
That seems to be par for the course.
$220,000 is what they've
So
estimated.
I haven't kept up with it enough. They're going to do. I think it's an odd thing to have down there. I think it's great, but $220,000. Is there anything? Is there any way to recoup that $220,000? Does it make money at all?
I don't
I mean,
see how. They're not
it's
going to
not
charge
like
to
people
go in.
are going to come stay in
You
the.
can't. How do you close
It's not
it
like
off?
people are going to come stay in the hotel to go down there to go sledding, right?
I think that was the original. I know. I take it back. I know that was the original intention. It was called a destination playground. They wanted people coming in like you go to the
That
Dells.
would be a heck of a playground.
Yeah.
That'd be a heck of a
Yeah.
playground.
But the name changed because that's not
No.
realistic.
I do have one more question
It's
along
local.
some of the we kind of talking about the quad or Davenport as a whole, but then Corey and I, well, Corey came to the right side of town here, I don't know, 20 years or so ago. He used to be an east sider. Now he lives on the west side by me.
Okay.
The west side has
Still
had a
East
hard
Sider by
time
heart.
maintaining businesses. You see Hy-Vee left. You see,
Oh, yeah.
we Tapa Steakhouse closed after 41 years. The Happy
That was a
Joe's just
loss.
closed its dining room not too long ago. I mean, you've seen a lot of that move over the years, and you haven't seen a whole lot come in over the years. What?
And the little ones that do come in are really
Yeah.
struggling. And Tommy's and Home
Love
Plate,
Tommy's.
they operate in
Yeah,
cash
they sure do.
because they can't afford, the checks that bounce. And I'm a small business. I looked into doing credit cards. It's
Yeah.
super expensive. For a small business, it's
Yeah.
super expensive. So for them to do that, they would have to add the price on because well, anyway, I won't go into credit cards, but I've been down and talked to Susan at the florist shop. I've talked to Dewey. I've traveled that area. I've talked to Phil Yarrington's mom, who lives down there. She's a big
Yeah.
supporter. Excuse me. And I know that there was a plan done for the West End, and nobody can seem to find it. I want to see that plan.
It just went missing.
Yes. I found out about it from Susan at the florist shop, and she can't find it.
Wow.
But one of the things we're dealing with down there as well, one, Rockingham is in
Yeah.
pretty bad condition, but you got a lot of heavy
Yep.
trucks on it. You've got a lot of small industries down there. You've got neighborhoods, small industry, neighborhoods, small
Yeah.
industry, it's all interspersed down there. So you're going to have heavy trucks coming in. But we've also got a situation where West Enders are pretty
Yeah.
independent.
True story.
Okay? I was a river rat for a while. It's kind of the same idea, upriver a little bit. But they've also been ignored for so long that I think they just go, what can I do
Yeah,
to
I
make a
think
difference?
it's almost like, well, screw you guys. You aren't going to help us. We'll help ourselves. But
Yeah.
that doesn't bring in,
Yeah.
different things for them to, they do need a little bit of assistance in
No.
that way.
No, we need something that's longer term, and it's got to be, again, well
Yeah.
planned. So we don't do something and then it falls apart. It's got to be sustainable. And I don't think we've been thinking in those kinds of terms
Sure.
in
No, I
Davenport.
would agree.
We're looking at this project and this project. but not sustainability. How can we create a foundation to move forward?
What would
Have
be
that
the
foundation stay.
infrastructure starting point for better expansion out there, attracting new businesses?
There's two
It's got to
levels.
start somewhere.
Okay, Corey, there's two levels. One is, excuse me, one is what Gordon talks about, which is the sewer that's going out north of Locust, Mr. Gordon, I'm sorry, out to Locust and to 280, with an industrial park over there by 280. Okay, our tax base in Davenport depends on those larger businesses. Let's face it, okay? So that's really important. That's a foundation. That isn't necessarily going to do anything for the communities and small businesses south of Locust,
Right.
okay? Everybody's going to be coming in on 280, the big trucks and stuff,
Yeah.
I suspect. That's
Yeah.
going to be the easiest, 90 and 280. They're not going to be going down Locust, mostly. And you've got residential neighborhoods along Locust. So they're not going to be
No, I
happy
live
if
off of
suddenly
Locust,
there's
and
a lot of
I want less semis, not more.
yeah, okay. So there's that. And that contributes a lot and will contribute, not yet. It's going to take a while to get that going. But that will contribute to our tax base. Again, depending on what incentives we give. Because incentives, of course, say you don't have to pay taxes for 10
Yeah.
years on the growth. Okay? Okay. So then you've got the other question of what do we do to the communities south of Locust? Okay? That's where the real pain is. Because you can bet north of Locust, there will be residential developments, and they're not going to be affordable. Okay?
Absolutely.
Right. It's going to be brand new land. There's going to be a bunch of people that make a lot of money selling their land. It's going to go to higher end developers like you're seeing in Bettendorf as the cornfields go. Some of them may be apartments, but new apartments are going for like $1,800 to $2,200
Like we live in Chicago.
for rent. Yeah, but that's here in Davenport, including some of the ones along Kimberly that are going up. So we have to get West Enders to come together and try to say what can we do? What do we need? What help do we need? And how can we move forward with this in a sustainable way? One of the things that I did when I was 8th Ward Alderwoman was I looked at, there's two areas in the 8th Ward that are, they're struggling. One is Goose Creek and one is Ridgeview. And I spent a lot of time with those folks, particularly Goose Creek, because they had been ignored as well. And so we had a lot of meetings where people came and we identified things that needed to be fixed. And I was able to get the city to come in and help us out on some things that didn't cost a lot of money. Okay? We need to do the same thing, I believe, over in the West End. Talking to Susan at the flower shop, she facilitated meetings, getting people together, and they kind of died out. And as things got fixed in Goose Creek, the same thing happened. People just kind of wandered away. They had better things to do. But we need to get people together in the West End and say, what do you want? What do we need? Who needs to do it? And one of the other things I was thinking of, and not only for the West End, but we need the big businesses, but I believe it's the small businesses that create the vitality in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, the home plates, the hair salons, where communities come together. So we need those small businesses supported, and it's hard to do in the West End. And of course, now you lost your grocery store and your pharmacy.
I didn't even think
That's a
about the pharmacy.
problem.
It's clearly
that's a
obvious
big
after you say
problem.
it, but I didn't even think about that. That's how Corey. That's how Corey and
Yeah,
I met.
and
We met down at the Hy-Vee on Rockingham. We both started working there.
there you go. So one of the things that I would like to see the city facilitate, okay, because I believe we can, and that is getting a coalition of organizations, nonprofits, as well as governments that can provide advice and resources to small businesses. I'm a small business. I started out going, how do you start a small business? And everyone said, oh, it's easy, but nobody
Right.
would tell me how.
Right.
You know?
That GPT
Yeah,
wasn't
it took
there.
me a couple of years. Yeah, yeah. So bring in the city with its
Yeah.
resources. Bring in the county with their resources. Bring in small business owners who
Yeah.
have been there that can provide advice. Bring in SCORE. That's former business owners that advise business owners. Okay, SCORE,
Yeah.
SCORE. It's retired people, okay, that come in and provide advice. Bring in nonprofits that can provide advice or say, how can we work together
Yeah.
for your business and our
Yeah.
nonprofit? We need this coalition to help people so that places like Home Plate are not can afford to hire, you know,
Yeah.
a waiter
Yeah.
because things are kind of slow right now because you're cooking and you're
Yeah.
waiting and you're
Absolutely. And you see that everywhere. I mean, it's
everywhere. Yeah,
yeah, you
that's
see that
an
everywhere,
example.
unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think we could use that model to help folks actually plan, know what they need to do, know what kind of financing they need behind them, and be able to
Yeah.
move ahead. You know, and that doesn't cost anything
Yeah.
except time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, people coming together, and the city can facilitate that. As mayor, I could facilitate that, and I
Yeah.
would,
Yeah.
having been a small business owner. I know how hard it is.
Well, yeah.
Marketing, social media. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got a social media person. We walked in the floral shop and they said, and she's from the West End. And she said, oh, I want to
Yeah.
help you. And Susan was like,
Perfect.
oh, I need the help.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's great to have resources out there because it's so much more nuanced than it used to be. There's different ways. You know,
Oh,
there's a Wise Guys right up the street. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's right across from the fairgrounds.
oh yeah.
It's not too far from us, so me and Corey go there quite a bit. Well, it was not that busy. They sold to a new group of people. The new group of people are on social media with it all the time, and the place is busy 7 days a week.
Yep.
There's so many different
You
ways.
got to keep it fun. Yep. You got to be on
Yeah.
TikTok. You got to be on Instagram. You got to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah,
be.
it's a completely
Frequent
different
advice.
world. You don't have to run an ad in the Quad City Times the way you did. You can do some of these things that are
Yeah.
free that it just takes
Yeah.
some time and some expertise.
Or low cost if you
Yeah.
hire somebody who knows what they're doing for social
Well, we
media.
don't want to take all time. We've already taken up too much of your time, but I think we each probably have another question for.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
that's
been
that's
fun.
what we were hoping for. That's what we were hoping for. Corey, you want to go or you want
Okay.
me to go? I can go if you want.
I do have
Go
one
ahead.
question. I do have
Yeah, go ahead.
one quick question.
It can
And
be
it's
slow. This is fun.
it is about John O'Donnell Stadium. Well, Modern Woodman Park.
It's John
Sorry, I'm
O'Donnell's.
old school John O'Donnell to be. Yeah, growing up, it's always John O'Donnell. But
I understand.
so the city owns that
Yes.
park,
Yes.
and Mike and I, huge sports fans. We love minor league baseball down there,
So do I.
it's obviously one of the biggest
And the French
attractions.
fries.
Yeah, exactly. What Major League Baseball seems to be adjusting what they require for stadiums to
Yes, they
have
are.
for their
Yes, they
players.
are. Yep.
And of course, the bill comes on to us. And we have seen arguments, one was, I believe it was Rick Dunn who didn't want to spend any money on it, but it's such an asset, I think, to the community that why would we want to take that away
A little
because
history.
we don't want to
Want some,
spend the money?
want some history on that?
Of
When I
course.
came on in 2020, as an alderperson. COVID hit 2.5 months, right?
Yeah.
So we were kept out. There are only a few people who were allowed in City Hall. I was not one of them, okay? They were renegotiating the lease during that time. And it was, the current mayor, Corey Spiegel, Tom Warner, all right? And Major League Baseball was also at the time saying, well, we want to get rid of a few teams. We need to up the game in facilities,
Yep.
okay? And we're going to require your local teams to have, higher levels of facilities. So there wasn't much all those negotiations took place in City Hall with a few people. It's an odd contract. It's an odd lease looking at it, okay? The way it's set up. I love going to the ballpark. We just saw Visit Quad Cities, a movie that was made of Visit Quad Cities. That ballpark was in that movie 4 times. Yes, 4 times as an asset to the city.
I think that's probably what people think of
Yeah.
is the ballpark.
Yeah. My concern is that if we lose the ball team, okay, if somehow we cannot work something out between the owner and the city to where it's a better agreement for everyone, recognizing that Major League Baseball is causing some problems and continue to do so, okay? We are losing a major asset for people who love the game. And we're not providing a lot of stuff for the demographics that go to the ball games. The kids, the families, the guys that like to eat hot dogs, French fries. So I really think, in my opinion, we cannot afford to lose the ballpark. But I do think we need to take another look at the lease in an open and honest way, because I'm not sure that it was done last time with an eye on seeing the ballpark as an asset. Okay?
Yeah.
And again, I wasn't allowed in. I wasn't in the closed door meetings. All right? I would like to take another look at that. I have a copy of the actual lease. I've looked at it, all its amendments. And I would like to take another look at that with the owners of the ball team and see if we can work out something for everybody's. There is an audit being done of how the money is being spent by the ball team, and that was driven by a couple of alder people. I think that audit should include the city, how we're dealing with it, so we can see a full picture of what's going on financially with that. And I think that is important. It shouldn't be punitive. I think it's been a little bit punitive. But I think it should be, let's take a look at this. It's a new time, a new day, and let's see if we can come up with a better agreement that's good for Davenport, that's good for the ballpark, and everybody can continue to go to the ball games.
Yeah, I think that's great.
One thing I am concerned, and I know that the owner is concerned as well, is if there's a train, and I was over there was a train that closed access to the ballpark for 45 minutes, right at the start of a game.
That's a problem.
We had come in early, so we were on the ballpark side, and our friend we were meeting was on the other side.
And it was just stopped, I'm assuming?
And
I'm assuming it was just
I'm
stopped?
sorry?
The train was just stopped?
it wasn't stopped, but it was really slow. I mean, I could walk faster than the train was going because I was taking videos, and it was really long. And I got in there at the end of the second inning. That's how long it took. And it started at about 6 o'clock, right after they had opened the windows to sell
crazy.
tickets. So if there's If there is an emergency in that ballpark and you've got 5,000 people in there, what do we do?
Come from the river.
How do we get those people out, even without a
Yeah.
train?
Never even
Yeah.
considered that.
I have that same
Yeah,
concern.
sure. I never even thought about that. So I remember
Yeah,
one
with
time at
5,000 people in
work
there.
when I worked downtown at Verizon, and me and a buddy of mine, that was when the riverboat was still downtown, and there was a train stopped, and we just
Yep.
hopped over the train to get to the gambling boat. But we probably can't
Yes,
do that with 5-year-olds or 80-year-olds.
you
Yeah,
probably
let's
shouldn't
not encourage
anyway,
that.
Right.
because you don't know when they're going
Yeah,
to start to
my
pull
wife
it
was not
again.
happy with
No, but people
it.
will do that. I mean, people
Yeah.
try to run
Yeah,
trains all the time with
yeah.
their
It
cars.
was not the smartest move.
Yeah,
Not the smartest
exactly.
move.
And people were really good about this. I mean, they were across the street and down the street, as well as congregated in the parking lot waiting to come in.
Uh,
So there's some things we need to do some planning
All right, I got a question for you, and this
about
is
with it.
strictly from a selfish standpoint for just me. Uh, so,
Don't jump
yeah,
trains.
I can get past the
Right.
jumping trains. Probably can't do it anymore, but my wife was not happy with me. Not at all.
Go ahead.
But so one of the big industries that probably about the only thing that just absolutely blew up in during COVID is golf. Golf just took off during
Oh,
during COVID. So now, for my family
be outside.
by example, my wife now golfs. I have 3 daughters. They all golf. Their significant others all golf. That I'm not sure everybody did before. So for me, from a social,
Yep.
from a strictly selfish standpoint, it's harder to get tee times. When you are mayor, can you tell me that you're going to have a new golf course built for me?
No, I
Oh,
cannot tell
come
you that. I don't have
on.
that authority. No, no.
It's,
Um, and that's not something when the city does its survey, and I think we need to broaden the survey, how we go about that, because they base their budget on
yeah,
that survey, 500 people. Golf is not one of the things that comes up. Streets come up, police come up, the
yeah.
standards
Golf comes up.
come up, the price of
Right.
garbage collection,
All the smart things. I'm not saying I'm that smart. I'm just saying.
yeah. So that I'm just saying that's not one of the
Yeah.
things that comes up, and therefore is not one of the things that
If we need.
is considered. However, they are updating some of their facilities for golf. They're increasing golf training for kids
Yep.
over at Red
It's
Hawk,
awesome.
which
Yeah,
I
it's
think
very
is
awesome.
cool. Creating more, which is going to
Yeah,
bother
it's
your
going
tea
to be
time.
annoying.
But
It's going to be bad.
you know, golf courses are labor and resource
Yeah.
intensive and
Yeah,
space
that's the big
intensive.
thing. It takes up a lot of space.
Okay.
I'd still need a golf course.
Yeah. And a lot of chemicals, a lot of, you've got to have people
Yeah.
to run it. You got to have people to rent the golf carts. You got to have people to clean them. You got to, collect the balls and stuff. So they are resource intense as well as
Yeah.
water and
At one
chemicals.
point, though,
They're
it's
very,
got to be still up there. At one point, I just think there's a lot been built across the state. But at one point, Duck Creek and Emi's were 1-2, almost in the state in rounds played. I don't know if they're that way anymore,
oh,
but
okay.
they were the two, like, of the public courses. They were like number 1 and number 2 in the state. So they're busy. I mean,
Why do you think they're not anymore? I'm not a golfer.
I don't know that answer. I think the Quad Cities has built more golf courses. I think you got a few more,
Yeah.
and people are
Okay.
more willing.
And disc
Yeah,
golf
yeah, yeah.
too.
You got different things. I think there's just more in the Quad Cities in general. Or, a lot of times, with my wife or some friends we golf with, if it's a Saturday, it's like, okay, we can't get on at Emi's because it's packed. So let's
Yeah.
make a road trip out of it. Let's go to Iowa City, and then we'll go have dinner, and so it's not a bad thing. I'm thinking more of like when it's a late tea time and I don't have time to make it.
Right, right.
So,
I
so
understand. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be seeing a new golf course pretty soon. And don't base any votes on that because I can't.
I can tell you nobody's committing to it.
Oh, I love golf courses. As a matter of fact, I tried to learn how to play golf with my elderly neighbor when I was 14. And I was so horrendous. This may not be cause and effect, but he died shortly after.
Hey, I've golfed with Corey before, and I've almost died after.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm horrible.
I think golf courses are wonderful, and I'm super glad they're increasing the classes for kids and the opportunities.
Yeah, I think
for kids.
Emi's is doing a fundraiser they badly need a new clubhouse. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, they are doing
and
fun.
and
They
one of
wanna-
they're putting in classrooms and stuff like that for the first tee, which is going to be phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yes, yes. So I really appreciate
Yeah.
what we have. I know there was there was an older person when I was on. They said maybe we ought to close Red Hawk Golf Course. No, that did not go over well.
No. Wait,
So golfers are paying
yes.
attention.
Yeah. Don't,
They're just not
maybe
answering
we
the
don't
survey.
get maybe we won't get new stuff. Just don't take the stuff we got away from us.
Oh no, that I can't see
Yeah.
that happening. I go past golf courses and they're
That's
always,
what I'm saying.
you know,
Good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Get
Yeah.
people out of the house.
and I'm happy to see that. And there's also a lot of people that are
Yeah.
walking.
Absolutely. Not me, but
You know?
other people do.
They're not taking the carts. They're getting their exercise. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
cool too. And you know that River Action uses golf carts to do tours around Davenport and
Oh, really? I
different
didn't know that.
areas for people that can't, walk
that's
long
pretty cool. I did
distances.
not know
They
that.
have cart tours. So where are they getting the golf carts? There you go. So that's
Nice.
a wonderful use that people, Kathy Wine is nothing but imaginative at River Action. There you go. And they are always full
Oh,
tours.
nice.
Always.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
even know they did that.
They never have room. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really
that's
cool.
awesome.
People who
Yeah,
can't walk,
yeah.
or can't walk long distances, but want to go cool
Yeah.
places.
Go ahead, Corey.
That's
So-
awesome.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Any
Corey's
more
got one.
questions?
I just got one, and it should be easy. It should be easy. We're always, saying, I want this fixed. We need this. You got to do this. You got to do that. At the end of the day, what's your favorite part about Davenport?
Parks. I'm an outdoor person. And having, like you looking for golf courses in Iowa City, Bob and I have gone north, south, west, and east across the river and hit parks. We like to hike. And I will tell you, Davenport has a better diversity of parks. You've got everything from little tiny pocket parks downtown in a neighborhood, with a set of swings, to Sunderbrook, which I think is a hidden gem in Davenport, where you can do just about anything there. And there's like 7 miles of trails, horses, bikes, walking your dog, walking your baby buggies, up and down. It's beautiful. We've got dog parks. We have such a diversity, and I never tire of them.
Yep.
They're just great.
Thinking of what you just said, because you said and you weren't the only one who said Sunderbrook Park is just a hidden gem. I was thinking of Corey actually, and thinking of what you said, and then going off of the social media, you should somebody should take a drone and fly it through Sunderbrook and over Sunderbrook and make a little commercial for it and show everything that it has and put that out on social media.
That's a
That
good
would be
idea.
phenomenal.
I just did a reel with my social media person of hidden gems
Okay.
in Davenport, and we included
Okay.
Sunderbrook.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And she and her boyfriend were just like,
Yeah.
I never knew this was here. We walked a little bit up the hill,
It's kind of hidden.
and he played on the Ninja Park, and it's down there. He's good, by the
Well,
way.
we certainly don't want to take.
We just made a
We
little
certainly
bit.
don't want to take any more of your time. We know you've got a lot to do. We've probably taken too much already.
Actually, I love talking
Yeah.
about Davenport, and I really want to be a problem
Good.
solver.
Okay.
But to do that, we have to identify the problems and then pull the right people together and do the planning that we need to do to create the sustainable foundation that we can build from. And I think we still need to work at this part, the sustainable foundation. And I'm willing to work at it.
We've enjoyed talking to you.
Awesome.
We've loved having you on. We would certainly love to have you back. Whenever
back.
you want, you have an open door. We'll keep in touch and win or lose, depending on it. It's going to be up to you whether you want to come back and see us or not. But you always have a door to come see us.
Win or lose, I care
Absolutely.
about the city. And that's why I stayed involved for the 2 years when they moved me into second ward and I lost. I care about this, and that's why I went to meetings. That's why I read the agendas. That's why I talked to people. That's why I made comments for 2 years. I didn't have to do that.
Well, you always have a forum with us.
But I
You always
care.
have a forum with us, and you just you've got my number, and you know how to get a hold of us, and we certainly won't be shy about getting a hold of you.
So if we can get a group working in the West End, where we can start pulling people together, would you be interested in helping to get
Absolutely.
the word out?
Yeah,
Of
we
course.
can give us anything you want. We can get it out there and post it. If you want to host something like this or host a round table, we can do it live. We can do anything that we can do. I think it's a great idea. We really are just kind of
think we
beginning
need
this
to do
journey, and we're going to do a podcast, and it's going to talk a lot of sports and a lot of local events, but it really can be used for many different things, to be quite honest.
Let's use it for community
Yeah, absolutely.
betterment as well. And win or
Agree.
lose, I would still like
let's do
to
it.
help the West End.
Let's do it.
Yep. Agree.
Okay?
Again, we certainly
That's
appreciate it.
perfect.
Corey.
Win, I can do
What's that?
more.
That's right.
Win, I can
get
do
it.
more.
Exactly.
Let's put it that way.
Perfect.
Go ahead, Corey.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Judith. We really appreciate it. You've been great to talk to, easy to talk to, and I loved our time today. It was great.
phenomenal.
Thank
It was
you.
great.
I did
Thank
too.
you.
Good luck.
Awesome.
Thank you. Votes. It's all
Yes.
about votes.
You
Good
got
luck,
it.
and we'll talk soon.
You got it.
Yeah.
You have
you.
a great
Go
Saturday.
Hawks.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye.
All right.
You guys log
Yeah.
off. I don't know how.
Stopped it. I just stopped the recording. So, thank you again. Good luck. I know you're going to go canvas.